All right, hello everyone. Eric Marks here again with findingmiddleearth.com, and welcome to another live Instagram photo critique. So as always, I'll hang out here for just a few minutes while we let some people join in the chat room, and then we will start the show shortly after. And then, of course, I will put the timestamp for people that are watching the recording of this in the description below, so you can hop straight to the critique itself if you don't want to sit here and, of course, just wait around while I just hang out and people join the chat room. So while we do this, of course, let me check my windows, get everything in order, make sure my privacy is set to public. That's good. Last time I tried to start a live stream, I had my privacy set to private live stream, and I was going on for like 10 minutes, and I was wondering why there were still 0 people watching. I was like, man, people have forgotten all about me. And then I just saw that my privacy was on private, and no one could join the stream, so I had to kill it and start completely over, which was fun. But yeah, I've been gone from YouTube for a little over 3 weeks, and I've gotten a lot of messages, as I always do when I kind of disappear for a little bit, and so I appreciate that. And I am going to be having a video coming out tomorrow. Should be coming out tomorrow morning, I believe. Where I will explain kind of where I've been and what I've been doing. I have been working on stuff for the channel, so don't worry, I'm not like, quitting photography or anything. I've been working on a new course, and I got a new vlogging camera that I'll talk to you guys about. A lot of people have been asking me to comment on the new Nikon mirrorless system, so I'll probably do some kind of video about that. I've been working on setting up a new podcast. It's just a lot of stuff I'm trying to do. I'm trying to diversify the opportunities of the channel a little bit into a few different realms, and I don't have any employees. It's all just me, so unfortunately I'm only one person and I can only do so much, so I'm trying to do all of that while also keep up with the YouTube channel, because this is where my business is. My viewers and my followers are all here, and so this is always going to be my priority. So, okay, well, looks like we have a few people watching and jumping in now. Go ahead and, if you guys are already in here and watching things, go ahead and jump in the chat if you don't mind, and let me know maybe your name and where you're watching from. It's always fun to see, how many countries or states we have people watching from. It's always just fun for me. And then we will start the critique here in just a minute. I'm going to make sure I'm going to hop over to Photoshop for a second, if you'll excuse me. And I'll make sure we have all my photos in order here. So just give me a second. While you guys are waiting, remember, you can always reach out to me or follow me on social media at Finding Middle Earth on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm always available on there, probably more than I am through email, because my email has gotten so backed up lately. So yeah, anyway, just heads up there. If you do want to get in touch with me, the quickest way is typically to do so through social media, direct messaging, and stuff like that. So, okay, I think we are ready and good to go to hop into the critique here. So let me pull up my Photoshop window, and I will get things started. Okay, here we are with the first photo. So, I try not to look at these too hard before I pick them for the critique. I just kind of give them a very quick glance, and then just kind of go from there. I try not to study them too much because I want you guys to get kind of my first reactions. So, on this one, I remember thinking that it's tough to comment on because it's a very simple composition. It's one of those very simple, could be considered, fine art-esque, but there's some things that are wrong with it that would stop it from going into that realm. I'm pretty sure that the photographer knows this already, I'm sure, but I'll go ahead and comment on it. So the first thing is, I am never a big fan of any kind of landscape photo of the beach that has used and trampled over sand. I don't like sand that has been stepped on by human life. Maybe that's just a pet peeve of mine, but it just kind of ruins a landscape image like this that's trying to be super simple and artsy. And when you get into this kind of a mood of a photo where you have this like dreary sky and this the stick in the foreground kind of thing that you see quite often, you want the mood to kind of take you into the photo, and it's hard to do that when you have all these footsteps and honestly kind of dirty, muddy sand all around this area. It just kind of ruins that mood. So that's the first thing I'll say. The second thing is, I would say this photographer could have gotten a little bit more creative with the composition. I think a lot of photographers kind of get excited when they see a possible foreground element, which is obviously this big piece of driftwood here. And the driftwood on the beach photo has been photographed a million times. Driftwood in the foreground, beach in the background. It's been done a million times. So something really creative could have been done with this. I don't know what, obviously, because I'm not there. But I think that just to me, this feels like the photographer walked on the beach, set up the tripod at eye level, saw the driftwood, and just said, "Hey, I'll follow my rule of thirds, and we'll do that there, and then we'll put a nice dreary, moody sky with the beach in the background, and it's a good photo." And I will say it's an okay photo. It's not horrible. It's just it could have been a little bit more creative. I think that with clouds like this that aren't too interesting because it's just a gray day, that a nice long exposure effect could have been done to make it quite nice. Like a nice big long streaky clouds would have been cool. So I think that's another option that could have made this better. And then I think getting maybe closer to the driftwood, or I'm looking at this little piece of driftwood right over here on the beach, and I think maybe getting over there and putting the tripod down at like sand level, like putting the tripod legs all the way out, getting almost eye level with the sand, and doing the whole dominant foreground thing with the beach over here would have been cool. Because to me, this just looks more of like a snapshot. So yeah, that's what I would say. But again, it's not like some horrible photo. It's just I think all the elements were here to make something interesting. You just remember, don't let tripods or anything like that kind of glue your feet into one place. Play around. Take some test shots at some different areas. I always do that. It's called kind of working the scene. You get there and take some test shots. It's not going to hurt to take test shots. We shoot on digital cameras, so take some shots from to the left of the driftwood to the right, maybe shooting straight up at the sky, maybe using this little piece of this little like half triangle here to frame something. Who knows? Just something interesting. So yeah, that's about all I would say about that one. And then the other thing is just more of a question. So it obviously looks like a big gray dreary day with flat lighting in the sky, right? But if you look at the driftwood here and all the sand, there's harsh shadows in the sand, which tells me that there's some kind of harsh light source coming from the right to the left. And that tells me that there might be maybe like a lamp, like a street lamp, or maybe some car headlights, which is not very flattering. It's that like really gross yellowy tone, almost like a yellowish green. So yeah, just be careful about any kind of like light spills like that are gonna ruin your color tones in the image. Because I think your color tones are really nice from the sky to the beach. Like it's a very nice soft blue kind of a palette. I like that. But I think it all kind of goes wrong in the color of the wood and the sand. There's some kind of light source coming from the right, I can tell. So yeah, anyway, just be careful about that. And again, thank you so much for having the bravery and being humble enough to submit your photos for critique. I know it really does take a humble photographer and a mature person to do that, to get your photos critiqued publicly. So I do appreciate that. And ultimately, great work. Just work on being more creative, and just don't be afraid to do some test shots while you're there. Take 5 or 6 angles and see which one you like better. All right, let's move on to the next one real quick. Make this a little bigger. Whoops, what am I doing here? There we go. Okay, so this photo is interesting. Let me get a good look at it for a second. So I'm going to say a couple things, and the photographer will probably comment more on this in the comments of this video, because I'm going to ask some questions. So the first thing I noticed about this photo is the sunset and the color palette in the sky is gorgeous. I love it. I love soft sunsets. It's a very soft, yellowy, buttery smooth kind of a sunset, if that makes sense. Like it starts over here in the top left here as this very soft, natural-looking blue, and then it gradually gets warmer and warmer and warmer, and then boom, the sky kind of lights on fire right there. So I like that. I really do. My question lies in this structure right here. And the reason why I don't want to talk bad about this is because maybe this is something important. I don't know if this is in a different country or in a different state that I'm in, but it might be some kind of ceremonial thing. It might be something important, which is why the photographer made it so emphasized in the foreground. So that's my question to the photographer. Is this something of significance that would make sense to put as emphasis in the photo? Let's talk about this to where, assuming that I don't know anything about this, because I don't. So I'll say it from a compositional standpoint. Obviously, there's a foreground element, so you did that nice. The issue is the photo feels kind of split, because this is such a large structure, this whole structure here, and the sunset in this image is kind of small. So the photo as a whole feels kind of off balance. And then I don't like that in the sand or whatever this is, the dirt down here, there's all these little like cigarettes and little like red Solo cups and all this trash is what it looks like. There's just a ton of trash on the ground. And when you start looking at those details, it kind of ruins that beautiful, soft, sunset, buttery sky. You know, it's a beautiful scene at first, and then you start looking at it more, and you're like, oh, man, there's a bunch of trash. And that's where it just kind of brings that gross side of the human element into the scene, and that's where it starts kind of, again, ruining the mood, kind of like the last image. So, yeah, I think that what might have been better is if you'd have used, maybe shifted your feet over to the left and used this structure and these legs here, all four of these posts of the structure, to actually frame the sunset. Maybe you could have shifted to the left and then put the sunset right here, you know, using this structure as a big framing element for the sunset. Now, that wouldn't have been like amazingly creative, but it might have made it a little more balanced, a little more interesting, especially, again, if this structure is really important. Maybe it's some kind of ceremonial thing, or it's something of significance to somebody. That might have made it a little more important to have the light kind of directly hitting it and using the sunset or using the structure to kind of frame the sun. That's really the only thing I'll say, is just that the composition could have been better, and then you know, it's super easy to Photoshop out all this trash. There's just trash all over the sand and the dirt. Other than that, I mean, the exposure is spot on. Technically, this is great. Like with camera, the in-camera settings, I don't know if this is a blend or not, but it looks technically correct. The exposure is great. The sun is perfect. You can see some detail, but the bits that are overexposed, you know, look good. The sky is nice. It's a nice exposure. Just yeah, I'm just wondering about this structure. I think that might have been better to use it as a framing element and put that sun right here in the middle. So there we go. All right, before we move on to the next one, let me hop over to the live chat and make sure I'm not missing anything here. Let's see. Give me a second to get my camera swapped around. All right, let's see. Let's see. Summer says hi. Hello. Hello. How's your day? I'm doing great. Hope you're great as well. All right, cool. I think we're good. We have more people watching now. That's always good. If you guys have any comments, by the way, I always like to do this live. If you guys have any specific comments on these images that I'm going through that you would like to leave for the photographer, do that as well. It's always great to hear multiple opinions. And if I say them now on the live stream, then when these photographers go back and watch this video, they'll hear your thoughts as well. So say what you want about these images, if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, and let me know so that we can... sorry, give me a second. I'm having to unplug my Wacom tablet. It just started acting up. It just started like making things full screen. Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. My computer just started going nuts. Anyway, so yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, comment on the images just like I'm doing, and I'm sure the photographer will very much so appreciate it, because I know that if I was going back to watch these live streams and my photos were being critiqued, I would want to hear from multiple people. And I'm going to try one day to see if I can get one of my buddies over here, who's also a photographer, to do a kind of a live stream with me, and we can kind of both critique the images, because it's always fun to hear multiple opinions. So yeah, I guess we'll try that one day. But you guys, you know, give your thoughts too, so we can get some multiple opinions in here and some different perspectives, and maybe I'm missing something that you guys can help me out with. So that is always appreciated for me, and I'm sure the photographers that will be watching this. All right, let's go ahead and hop into another photo here. Okay, so here's photo number 3, and this one is another tough one. These have been tough to critique today, so because I don't know how to make this one better, but I know what I do and don't like about it. So overall, I think the photo is a little bit too blue. I think the water is too blue. I think the tree line is very blue. I like the sky, though. I like the blueness in the sky up here, and I like how it goes into a soft gradient of kind of a warm tone here. And then here down, it's just like really, really blue. So as far as the compositional elements, okay, let's talk about that. There's a beautiful, I don't know if you can see, but there's a beautiful mountain range in the distance here. I'll kind of circle it. Whoops, that was a bad job. The biggest part of the mountain is right here. So I'll just kind of circle it. You can see there's a mountain, and more mountain range back here and back here. And I like that extra layer. It adds a kind of an extra layer of mystery and a nice little compositional element. I like that there's that really, really distant background layer. So I love that. That's really nice. It also works quite well that there's this nice little peninsula of trees kind of coming out. So that's also nice. You know, that's okay. My issue lies with this right here. I don't know if this is some kind of little jetty or some kind of dock that's popping out. The issue is that while it's good to have a foreground element, what is this foreground element adding to the image, right? To me, it's distracting me. It's a dock, but I don't see any boats in the water. At least I think it's a dock. I see these little ladders coming off of it, so I'm guessing maybe people swim in this lake or something, and they can climb down and climb up on here. But it doesn't add anything. Like there's this beautiful landscape all out here in the background, and then in the foreground there's just kind of like dead space over here, and then there's like a random half of a dock poking out. So compositionally, again, I think today's critique has been compositional errors with all these photos. I think that people get so wrapped up in making sure that they have a foreground element that they'll just kind of use anything. But question yourself when you're in the field. It's took me years to kind of teach myself to do this. When you're in the field taking the photo, there in person, ask yourself, everything that I'm putting in this photo, everything that I'm showing in this composition, is it somehow adding to the photo? Is it making it better, right? And if it's not, or if you're not sure, then get it out, take it out of the photo. Because I don't know if this is making this photo any better or worse or what, but it's definitely a distraction. That's what I'll say. So maybe if you would have gotten rid of this and done more of a telephoto like panorama, and maybe let's try cropping the photo. Something like that could have been done. If you can just imagine getting rid of the dock and just like a nice simple panorama going from left to right across with this mountain range a little closer, maybe shooting it at 200 millimeters or something. So yeah, that's the only thing I can think of. The reason I said this one was so hard to critique is because, like I said, I know what I don't like, but I don't really know what would make it better. So yeah, that's I'm sorry I couldn't have been more helpful on that one, but I love the background here. This background and the nice soft gradient of colors in the sky is great. I just don't really know what would have made it a lot better. So yeah, because I wasn't there, I don't know what other foreground elements. I guess it would have been really cool if there would have been some boats. I think that would have really made like a little boat here, maybe like a sailboat out here or something. You could see like a big sail over here, something like that. Yeah, anyway, so I hope that helps a little bit, but that I think is the biggest killer in these images is always these foreground elements that these people decide to put in the images that they think is like, making their photo awesome because they have a foreground and a background, but somehow it doesn't always work out. You have to make sure it's actually adding something and really helping tell the story that you want to tell. Because I think the best part of this image is this background, and it's the furthest thing away, and the thing that's deterring my attention away from the background is this little dock here. So there you go. Again, thank you very much for submitting the image, and let's go ahead and move on to the next photo. So I was actually thinking about making this photo like my favorite photo of the week, okay? But the more I looked at it, I think it's like 4 out of 5 stars. It's really good, but I'm not entirely happy with the processing on it. Typically with photos like this, so you can tell this is probably some kind of a blend, at least I think. I'm assuming this foreground area was shot at a different time than the Milky Way, but I could be wrong. We could have all been shot at the same time and just processed correctly, or with some kind of software that mixes stars or something. I'm not sure. But I will say that if you look closely at the tree line, there's some haloing on the tree line. And I don't know if that's some kind of atmospheric haze that came out during processing, if you added too much clarity or something, but all around the trees there's a lot of this little haloing and some white kind of peeking around the trees. So that leads me to believe this might have been a blend. And if that's true, what I'm not a huge fan of is the color of the sky mixed with the color of the foreground. I think the foreground is really greenish blue, and then it's like really yellow in the stars right here. and then it just goes kind of a greenish black. It's almost like a greenish purpley black, and that's that color tone of stars that I'm not a big fan of. I like more of a bluish purple sky, and not like unnaturally blue, but something just pleasing to the eye. So let me just give you an example. I'll do like a quick little processing thing on this image here. Let's see what I want to do. So if we just simply added some blue, I'm going to open up Adobe Camera Raw, which you're not going to be able to see because it's opening a new window. So give me a second to do this real quick, and you'll see the new layer pop in. There you go. So there's a new layer with blue. And if I just hide that with a mask, and I paint some of that in to the sky, and this is just going to be a really sloppy example. I'm just going to show you. So we just sloppily paint some of this blue in, okay? Again, this is nothing professional. I'm just kind of doing this sloppy. And then we just ease it in with opacity, okay? So there's where we were, that like blackish purple. If we just ease in like a little bit of blue, just like the slightest little bit, like that. You see how that just like really mixes the tones so much nicer with the foreground? There's before and after, before and after, before and after. It just melds the tones better. And then the water down here in the very foreground, I think the water, it looks kind of muddy and gray. So, you know, all down here. So I think maybe adding a little bit more blue into the water could have been cool. So if we go back here to that blue layer and we paint a little bit of blue into the water, just like a little bit, I think that could have made that nice too. So if I just do that, we'll take the opacity up a little bit. Okay, and again, I'm just doing this very sloppy, but we're adding it into the water so that it makes sense to the mind why it's kind of reflecting off of the sky. And we'll add a little bit of blue to the surrounding rocks and the mud by the water, something like that, just to tie it together. But like, look at the tones now. If we just do a before and after, watch the water and the stars. Before, after, it just makes more sense that way tonally. So I think the image and the composition, it's all perfect. I mean, the waterfall is beautiful. The foreground is nice. I love the bridge that separates the trees from the sky. Like, I'm not talking bad about this photo. I think the photo, I mean, honestly, is brilliant. It's a great photo. I just think that some of the processing could have been helped. So yeah, just tonally, I think it could have been mixed a little better. So yeah, anyway, there's my example. So here is my, this is kind of like my second to best photo of the week. My number one photo of the week, my favorite this week, is this photo. This is probably the most simple photo you will ever see. I was just going through Instagram and I was like, man, there's something about the colors that I like. The colors are so soft, and the more I looked at this image, the more it just brings one word to mind, and that word is clean. It's just clean. Like, the photographer probably did next to nothing to post-process this image. I bet you this was as close to out of camera as you can get. I mean, the exposure looks nice. It's obviously some kind of long exposure because the water is nice and soft. The trees in the background are nice. There's just a nice amount of contrast. The blacks aren't too crushed. The highlights aren't too overexposed. It's just, I think this is one of those photos where someone would say, I hate it, or else someone would say, it's fine art and I'll sell it for $1 million. It like walks that fine line. So I love this. I think this is something that I would hang on my wall in my office. It's simple. I think it's odd and awesome that the rock is placed in the dead center of the frame, because that goes against all the rules that we're taught in photography, and I love people that break the rules. So I like this. I like it. I like the big emphasized shadow from the rock. It adds this great element. So I love this photo. I can't remember the photographer that took this. Again, I'll leave all the Instagram links in the description, but job well done. I love how simple this is. The horizon is perfectly straight. You very rarely see that. I love that. I mean, it's just perfect. So yeah, anyway, I like this one a lot. Job well done, beautiful colors, nice and soft, and just clean. It's just very, very clean. Okay, well, let me end this, or wrap this critique up here, turn the camera back around and check my live chat. Let's see, I got to go back to the live chat here. Bear with me, please. Let's see. Always takes a second. I ended up losing my internet window, so bear with me. right. I'm back. Sorry, my internet window closed, so I couldn't see what was going on in the live chat there. Let's see. Andrew says, is there a possibility of having a critique layer? It's one... Oh, I think you meant later. It's 1:52 p.m. here. I work till 7. Yeah, we could definitely do like a weekly critique at... I'm not sure what country you're in, but I was definitely talking about getting my critiques on a schedule, maybe like 10 p.m. Eastern time here in the U.S. But keep in mind, these are always... I record these, so after they... after I end the live stream, I upload it to YouTube. So no worries, you can always catch it later. And I think YouTube updated their software not long ago to where now, as people are watching the recording, you can actually see as the live stream is coming in, or the live chat is coming in. So it's kind of like you're watching it live. But yeah, we can definitely talk about doing a weekly scheduled live stream that works for hopefully everybody. I'll make it super late here if I have to kind of please everybody. I guess I'll never please everybody, but we can try. I'll probably do like a poll on my YouTube channel in the community section. I'll ask what people like for the time frame. So yeah, thank you. Good suggestion, Andrew. Let's see. Andrew says Canada Eastern Standard. Okay, cool. Yeah, so maybe I'll do like a 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. time slot or something every week. And I'm also going to be doing a podcast starting pretty soon with a good friend of mine who's a photographer, and he's also in the social media industry. So that's going to be fun. I'll let you guys know all about that, of course, when we start it. We're still working on getting everything set up and the first few episodes recorded. So I will be, of course, letting you guys know where you can find that. It's going to be kind of a separate thing from Finding Middle Earth. It's not going to be like under the Finding Middle Earth business. It's going to be a separate thing. So that'll be fun. And then, again, I'll post that video tomorrow where I explain kind of where I've been, why I've been a ghost for 3 weeks. And then I got a new vlogging camera that I'll talk about, all that good stuff. Let's see, Andrew says, or weekends. Yeah, weekends work too. Just, I'll do a poll and we'll see what works best for everybody, and I'll just do whatever the highest voted thing is. Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for watching another live critique. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.